Welcome back to Tools and Track. In this episode, we're going to go from this to this. The water pump on Noisy Boy is humped. It is squealing its head off and it needs changed. That's what we're going to do in this episode. Of course, in typical Tools and Track style, it's not going to be a simple job. Why? Because I've already tried to take the pump off and nip the gasket that goes between the timing cover and the block. So now our simple water pump job has just become an entire front end strip down on the engine. Don't worry though, we're going to show you how to start all this, we're going to show you how to finish all this, and all going well, we're going to have a running car at the end of it. So first things first, we need to take the exhaust off. Why do we need to take the exhaust off? Well, we need to take the crank pulley off if we're going to get the timing cover off. To take the crank pulley off, we're going to have to move the collector at the front of the car. So to get the collector out, the exhaust needs to come off. As you can see, first things first, we're taking off the U-clamp that sleeves the exhaust over the collectors at the front of the car. Once you've got that off, you want to move up to the centre of the car and undo the 6 bolts that hold the centre of the exhaust onto the chassis. Be aware there are bolts on the inside of this square. Don't touch them. They are nuts and bolts that hold the exhaust onto the plate. Just the 6 on the outside. My next stop is going to the back of the car and loosening off the anti-roll bar links. This is going to allow me the clearance to shift the exhaust back. Now we're going to jack the car up on its side. Yep, there's still a bit of coolant dripping. And then we're going to take off the back mount. That holds the exhaust onto the rear of the chassis. Once this is all off, the exhaust will drop down, and with a quick shuggle, so there we go, exhaust backed off. You don't need to completely remove it from the car, you just need to take it off of that sleeve and back it off enough so it's not clattering about when you come to put it back on. So, next up we'll take off the ram's head or collector or main cat. This is the crank pulley off. As you can see, this is not a stock model. I'm running an aftermarket trigger wheel, 36:1. This is part of a Mega Squirt kit, so you're probably going to find a dust card on here if you take yours off. This is keywayed, so there's no danger of not knowing how to put it back on correctly. Obviously make sure you've got your keyway lined up when it comes time to putting that back on, and don't lose your key. And here we are on the engine side of things. As you can see, it's looking a lot more empty in here now. We've managed to get this guy out of the way. That's where the power steering pump used to live. He's now nestling down there, thinking about what he's done. Serpentine cover is off. You can see we've now got an exposed timing chain. Just in front of the timing chain, I have my old worm drive for the distributor. This is now defunct. I think, to be fair though, we'll probably just leave it on. There's absolutely no benefit in taking it off. There we go. I've got the old LED torch shining a bit of light on this now. So this gives us a bit of a better view. The part that has failed, you can quite clearly see with the track marks of the corrosive water. It's just come straight past here. There's the remains of the old gasket sort of perished away. Yeah, let's just have a look at the back of the timing chain cover. Like I say, this is a serpentine model, so this is your oil pump here. It sits behind this casing. Having looked at it, there's no sign of swarf or damage or anything. and that I can see anyway. I'm probably going to just leave this as is. I don't think we want to go disrupting it too much. So we're down in the skunk works, doing a couple of larger jobs. Like I said, the timing cover's off, so we've managed to crack the oil pump, which is now sitting loose, and we've just given it a jet wash. Obviously tried to keep as much water out of here as possible. Following the jet wash, it's now sitting in a bath of degreaser. So we're going to give that about 10 or 15 minutes just to clear its feet. I'm just cleaning the last dirt off of this timing cover casing, which is an absolute soul destroying job. However, getting the dirt off will mean that the heat dissipates quicker, which will mean your engine will run better. Plus, every little gram of filth that you remove from this is weight reduction. And this is all performance gains. Is any of this true? No, not the slightest. But it looks clean. So now it's time to look at putting the sump back on. What I'm going to run is a cork gasket. As you can see, I've cleaned the sump out. Wasn't a tremendously difficult job. I was quite surprised by how little debris there was in this. So, got a cork gasket. I've just lined it over the top, just to make sure it's the right one. Luckily, TVRs being the way they are, they still use the pressed steel ones. Although some of the later serpentine engines apparently have cast numbers, which are a bit more difficult. What I'm going to do is take this back off again, let it know it fits. I'm going to run a line of silicone sealer just under the bottom of it. This is not really to help the sealing as much as to hold the gasket in place, so that when it comes time to put the gasket up to the engine, I'm not trying to line holes so much. So, instant gasket has been used. Our sump cork gasket is now tacked in place. We're going to go under the car now and have a look, and probably have to clean up a wee bit of the faces to make sure it's going to go on right. So, we're underneath having a look at the engine from the bottom. I'm just going to give it a quick inspection before I throw this on. As you can see, a fair amount of old gasket debris, which we're going to have to scrape off. While we're under, always a good idea to have a wee look in and see how the engine's looking. You can actually see right up to the cam in this instance. I've actually given the engine a bit of a spin. The cam looks in pretty good condition. The lobes don't show any sign of wear or anything, which is a relief, because after taking the timing cover out, the last thing I want to do is touch the cam. As you can see here, timing cover's back on, so 2 of the bolts that will be running in the sump will actually mate to that timing cover. So it would have to come off with, unless you're disrupting the sump and hoping for the best, which I'm not. So the only thing I will do is my pickup, for some reason, has what looks like a bit of welding slag in it, which is unusual. So we'll get that cleaned off, we'll get everything sort of ready to mate, and then it's time to fill it back up with oil. Superb. So, now that I've got all of my timing cover bolts nipped up, with the exception of 3, it's time to put the water pump back on. There's a little bit of gasket etiquette we need to look at first. As you can see, I have cleaned off all of the remaining gaskets from where the water pump mounts onto this plate. What I'm going to do is smear just a very, very light layer of silicone sealer all the way around this edge. And I'm going to use that again on my new water pump all the way around here. Now yeah, I'm also going to put in a paper gasket as well, but I'm just hoping this will belt and braces seal everything up when it comes time to fill it up with coolant. That's our reassembly complete. As you can see, we are all built up and ready to fire. All that remains is obviously to put coolant in it. Now, I'm not going to stand here and say this coolant's better than another coolant. All I will say is, for the love of God, make sure you actually dilute it with antifreeze or buy a really good recommended premix. I'm sure forums will tell you exactly where you want to go. So, let's see how this works. The first thing I'm going to want to do is crack off my swirl pot top nut, because this is where we're going to do the fill in. Keep that somewhere safe, and you're also going to want to take off the expansion cap. Right, now we're ready to fill. Taking your time with this does actually make a difference. It helps you prevent getting airlocks and allowing the system to naturally bleed. Although to be fair, regardless of what you do, you will need to do a few runs of this, running up to full temperature, and use the expansion bottle to breathe as well. Now I've filled that up to the line there, and I'm already getting bubbling as the coolant slowly settles and runs around the system. So we've filled up the coolant as far as we can get it. I guess all that remains is to bring it up to temperature. That means firing her up, taking it out of the garage. As you can see, there's a lot of bubbling that comes through that expansion tank when it's running. I usually give it a good long time on idle to make sure all that air's out of the system. A good rule of thumb, maybe 3 cycles of the fan kicking in, just to make sure that it's up to temperature properly and all the airlock that could potentially have happened has sorted itself out. That's really it. Car's now running a treat, and I can finally go out and enjoy it again. Thanks for tuning in. Keep on the subscribe list. There's more content to come soon. See you later.